Exclusive contract with Feilu Novel Network Novel. National job transfer. Starting with Binding to Pangu God. The game invades the real world, and only by awakening and changing jobs can one gain the right to survive. On the day of awakening, Xuangong obtained the strongest and most useless profession in history, the Divine Envoy. In this destined godless era, Xuangong cannot upgrade. Fortunately, the Divine Blessing system has been activated to directly communicate with the ancient flood and wilderness gods for blessings. At the beginning, bind to Pangu God and quickly kill the powerful enemy boss all the way. Bind 1 Jingshan, Hongjun, Sanqing, and Nu every 5 levels infinite binding to the righteous god of the wilderness, who can say that the Divine Envoy cannot cultivate. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. The World of National Job Transfer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Classmates, whether it's combat or life professions, we are all equal in creating value for this society. However, as the saying goes, there is a huge gap between professions. In order to live a good life in society in the future, it is necessary to have a combat profession. Going further, awakening the sub-profession system that combines with combat professions can also lead to a happy life. Finally, if some students feel that their attributes are not ideal, it is also good to switch to a regular life profession. Class teacher Zhang Wei looked serious and spoke solemnly. At the same time, I also hope everyone remembers. When awakening their profession, they should act according to their own situation, and what suits them is the best. On the podium, Zhang Wei explained the precautions one by one from the bottom of his heart, and also brought out some cases of graduates to show everyone the living conditions of professionals. Zhang Wei's calm words echoed in the classroom like the sound of Buddha, and his classmates had already recognized the calluses in their ears. But today is different. Today is the day to awaken, and the enthusiasm of the students is particularly high, looking forward to the moment of life and destiny turning. In the middle of the first row of the classroom, Kang was propping his chin with one hand and watching Lao Zhang foam and fly on the podium. He has been in this world for 5 years. It is a world where reality and game systems are integrated, and the planet's area has expanded by thousands to tens of thousands of times. It is still impossible to accurately calculate the true size of this world. Because on the surface of the blue star, in the sky, and in the ocean, there are countless channels attached, such as dungeon worlds, secret realm worlds, monster worlds, and civilization worlds. At the same time, due to the intense battle between humans and monsters in the past, some small worlds were shattered, causing monsters to wander on blue stars and the wilderness outside of human civilization, forming their own biological system. To survive in this world, humans must awaken their professions, constantly kill monsters to gain experience points and equipment, constantly enter dungeons and explore secret realms, and acquire stronger skills to arm themselves. Every level 20, everyone can switch jobs once, and after switching jobs, their combat effectiveness can be qualitatively improved. Here, the most popular are the mainstream combat professions that can directly form strong combat abilities, followed by the sub-profession system strongly associated with combat, and the lowest social status is the life profession. Mainstream combat professions: warrior, soldier, mechanic, psychic, mage, warrior, assassin, etc. Sub-professional system: blacksmith, pharmacist, mage, rune master, etc. Although these professions may not directly transform into powerful combat abilities, they can still be switched to combat professions in the future, such as blacksmiths being able to switch to weapon masters, pharmacists being able to switch to poison warriors, and rune mages being able to switch to rune mages. Career: farmer, butcher, chef, angler, winemaker, etc. Life professions are an indispensable logistical support within the entire system, but due to their lack of strong combat capabilities, their social status is low in this era that values martial arts ethics. Of course, if the level of life profession is high enough, you can be popular wherever you go. However, once a person awakens to a career failure, they can only do some low-end and unskilled work. Recycling waste resources for reuse, becoming a professional's humanoid backpack, cleaning the street, and so on. These low-end jobs, with meager salaries and injuries to the body and mind, and some even endanger lives, make people naturally realize that their career prospects become even more slim. After the popularization of 9-year compulsory education, the job transfer rate began to increase significantly. On average, half of people will awaken to life professions, 20.3% will obtain secondary professions, and only about 10% can become combat professions. However, thanks to the good development of society, even if some people fail to awaken, as long as they are willing to endure hardship and work as apprentices for 3 to 5 years, they can still obtain low-level life skills taught by advanced life professions. Although there is no awakening profession bonus, relying on life skill support, they can still make ends meet. However, the most popular ones are still mainstream combat professions that can directly form strong combat abilities. They can directly kill monsters to gain experience points and raw materials. Not only can they quickly improve their level, but they also have rich profit channels. Their social status is high, and their career dividends are full of oil. Today is the day of awakening one's profession, the day when carp leap over the dragon gate. Kang's mood is very pleasant, and he even looks forward to the time to awaken his profession as soon as possible. Because after he came to this world, he obtained a system. Divine Prayer System, today's prayer object. Pangu, player's status. Today's luck plus 10, this system is very powerful and can receive a random blessing status every day. Sometimes it's a temporary attribute increase, sometimes it's a permanent attribute value increase, and sometimes it's just a matter of releasing some magical resources, such as spiritual fruits that can permanently increase growth. The limit for an ordinary person who has not awakened their profession to strive for a lifetime is a single attribute value of 10 points. Even if you look at all schools in this city, students with an 8-point single attribute are considered geniuses, those with a 9-point single attribute are considered super geniuses, and those with a 10-point single attribute are even more precious treasures of the country. Due to the many benefits provided by the divine blessing system, Kang's full attribute is now at 10 points, and the hidden growth value has been determined to be extremely high by the school after expensive inspection. Kang, who has already been recommended by the military stationed in this city in advance, does not need to take the major exam as long as he wakes up his profession. He directly enters the Senior Military Officer University to receive the best and most luxurious top-level education. And the representative of the local military has already revealed privately that as long as Kang awakens to a combat profession, he will have the opportunity to access the research project results of the military's private ultimate profession of destruction. Classmates, that's all for now. Wishing everyone all the best in the future, going their separate ways, and having a prosperous military career. Zhang Wei concluded with great care, raised his hand to look at his watch, and then looked deeply around, reflecting the faces of all the students in his heart. It's time to wake up, classmates. The young boys and girls cheered excitedly, stood up and jumped, throwing books and papers on the table all over the classroom. The swirling paper, wrapped in passionate and fiery sounds, roared out of the window, soaring into the sky. Zhang Wei couldn't help but laugh, rarely saying, "Our class is the loudest in the whole grade," but instead looking at these little ones with a hint of nostalgia and satisfaction. He smiled and waved his hand, asking the class monitor to take his classmates to the playground to gather and prepare to awaken his profession. The young boys and girls were chattering and arguing, with excitement in their hearts. They playfully walked out of the classroom, laughing and leaving the desks and classrooms that had condensed their 3 years of youth. Kang was closest to the classroom door, but he didn't get up. Instead, he wrapped his hands comfortably and watched as his classmates walked past him, laughing happily. Someone greeted him and asked him to go with him. Kang shook his head. In the final moments, he still wanted to spend more time in the river of youth, like lying in bed, feeling a bit reluctant to leave here. Because once we leave, we can never come back here again. Zhang Wei saw everyone leaving, but the strongest genius in the class was lying in his seat. He picked up the documents from the podium with a smile and stood up, kowtowing, "Kid, there's glue on your butt. Get up and go quickly." Kang smacked his tongue and stood up somewhat reluctant, saying goodbye to 3 years of time. "Finally, we have to face a turning point in life. I'm a bit reluctant." "Haha, your boy will be sad sometimes. Go quickly, those naughty guys are still waiting for you in the corridor." Kang lifted his finger comfortably and lightly, flicking his index finger and thumb in front of his forehead, saying, "Below, let me create miracles." Zhang Wei smiled and shook his head, clutching a folder as he walked out of the classroom door. Kang was the last one to walk out of the classroom door and looked back at the classroom. He felt in a daze that the classroom was so spacious, and there was a strange feeling of crowding, as if his youth was stuffed into this classroom. Haha. Kang chuckled lightly, took a final glance, waved his hand behind him, bid farewell to his youth, and then strode towards the staircase. Awakening Profession, I'm here. Chapter 2. The 32nd Awakening Conference of Number 8 Middle School. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Benefiting from the world's reverence for martial arts, the school playground has become particularly large, more than 10 times larger than the Earth Star School before Kang's crossing, enough for all students to practice on the playground. At this moment, a emerald green jade platform with a diameter of 10 meters has been built in the center of the huge playground, carved with the 5 elements awakening formation. This formation can help people actively switch jobs and increase the chances of successful job transfers and professional quality. It is a national treasure, guarded by local legions. Every year, the best group of array mages in this city will personally install and inspect, without any errors. In the 4 corners of the emerald green jade platform, there are 2 people standing in a team, totaling 4 teams, with professionals approaching the second turn. Around the school playground, there are groups of military combat professionals forming a cordon, each of whom is a level 20 or higher professional, in case of unexpected situations. Kang stood at the forefront of the class and saw that 8 professionals on the awakening platform had already disclosed their levels and career names. Level 32, Earth Formation Mage. Level 38, Kuei Shui Formation Mage. Level 34, Ruijin Formation Mage. Level 32, Flame Formation Mage. Level 38, Rampage Hunter. Level 36, Never Sleeps. Level 34, Ghosts Are Not Accepted. Level 36, Night Traveler. The military is spending so much money this time. These are all professionals who are close to the second round. In previous years, weren't they all professionals with a level of 20? 1 mage and 1 military captain. Hey, you don't understand that, do you? This is for Mr. Su. I heard that Mr. Su has already been recommended and can awaken at base 212 in advance, but Mr. Su insisted on awakening at school, so the military sent the elite over with ease. In previous years, it was a steel-based awakening platform. This year, this awakening platform is made of emerald green jade materials. We have been exposed to the light of Mr. Su, so let's have fun. The classmates around couldn't help but look at Kang and couldn't resist their curiosity. You should know that Kang is a super genius who ranks first in both civil and military exams. Kang looked at the noticeably higher specification awakening platform this year and couldn't help but recall the information previously leaked privately by military representatives. Due to the unique geographical location of my hometown, which is located in a strategic area, and the fact that this place has been cultivating top Air Force combat professions, aerospace galaxy professions, and unique destructive combat professions since ancient times. The strength of the army in my hometown is still very strong, especially in the field of military research, with a strong and unique team. After awakening, he was directly escorted to the side of the army, a batch of fragrant ones. Wow, Night Traveler. This is a high-quality combat profession, and its combat power at night has doubled several times. I hope that after awakening, I can directly enter the military. Although the military's requirements are very strict, the benefits and wages are really generous. After working hard for 5 to 10 years, I don't have to worry about the rest of my life. Yeah, even if you don't join the military, awaken your combat profession and go to the wilderness to level up, and work steadily for a few years, you can make a down payment to buy a house or a car, and there are also discounts. The secondary vocational system is also pretty good. My brother is a branch of the formation mage and works as an energy engineer. He earns a basic salary of 700 to 800 yuan per month, plus performance and benefits. At least 10,000 yuan per month. I have specifically focused on the direction of the formation. If I successfully awaken the formation mage, I will have a good relationship after graduation and join the energy department. Classmates are discussing and imagining their beautiful future, with a glimmer of hope in their eyes. The combat profession is the pride of heaven, and only a small number of people can take on great responsibilities. However, the secondary vocational system is also very popular. You don't have to face danger, and you can live a good life by working hard. At the very least, you can awaken a life profession, and your future life can also be guaranteed. Zhang walked up to the front of the class team and raised his hand to press down, saying, all right, keep your voice down and prepare for awakening your career. The voices of everyone began to converge a lot, and the implementation also turned to the awakening platform. The principal stood on the podium, holding a microphone in his hand, and his voice was solemn and powerful. The 32nd Awakening Conference of No. 8 Middle School is now starting. Please welcome the students of Class 1 of Grade 3 to enter. Everyone's gaze turned to Class 1 of Senior High School, and they saw a group of equally excited classmates. The awakening order is based on class order and student ID order. There are 11 high school seniors in this class, totaling more than 500 people, which may last for a whole day. Quickly, according to the order of student numbers, Student 1 was excited and tightly clenched his fists against his pants, walking stiffly onto the awakening platform. Student 1, the starting gun of each awakening class, has been given the responsibility of a good omen. Each session of a good student will receive more or less reasonable resource support, just to awaken their career and have a good omen. Zhang Wei felt a little regretful and said, this child used to be very good, but his father, who lives in a profession, died while searching for special raw materials in the wilderness. This child's mentality has been affected and he has been depressed for almost half a year. Kang was surprised and said, didn't the scavenger team eliminate all the wild monsters near the city? Zhang Wei remained silent for a moment, his tone slightly heavy. In recent years, the abnormal situation of monsters has started to slowly increase. Compared with 5 years ago, the proportion of mutated monsters has increased by 5.8%. His father was unlucky enough to encounter mutated monsters, otherwise he would have survived with his own attributes and equipment. Upon hearing these words, Kang remembered the topic of monster mutations that had been brought up one after another in recent years. There were indeed more mutated monsters than in previous years, and there was a faint sign that a natural disaster was about to come. But overall, it is still humans who have the advantage, the situation is stable, and there is no major obstacle. In addition, the speed of monster mutation and strength improvement is not as fast as humans, so this topic has not caused much public opinion. Zhang Wei saw Kang's gaze becoming solemn, afraid of affecting his mentality. He deliberately smiled and said, your child has had full attributes and extremely high hidden growth points in the past 3 years. Don't worry, the profession you awakened is definitely top-notch. During their conversation, Student 1 on the awakening platform had already completed a transformation. A blood-red beam of light, 5 meters high, rose from his body and condensed into a pair of fierce and calloused fists in mid-air, showcasing unparalleled wildness and dominance. The mage on the awakening platform slightly used the small array props on his chest to amplify. Combat profession, barbarian. Wow, that's not bad, buddy. It's a bit awkward, this is a mid-range combat profession. It's okay, neither high nor low, which can be considered a good omen. Not bad, brothers. He is also a combat profession even if he pulls the crotch. Later, he switched to a berserk warrior, and his combat and stress resistance abilities are impressive. Everyone was discussing, with mixed opinions. It is indeed because the profession awakened by Student 1 is a bit lackluster in the mainstream combat profession system. The overall evaluation is that it is a mid-level combat profession. But because awakening is a combat profession, it can also be considered a pretty good result. Student 1 stood on the awakening platform, with a flushed face and hot sweat on his forehead, completely bewildered. He awakened a mid-level combat profession in front of everyone. The sound of discussions around him turned into a huge tide, completely drowning him. Zhang Wei looked at him and felt sorry for him. At first, we all thought he would be a bard on the magic side. Now it seems that he was too influenced by his father and changed his main attack direction midway, awakening the barbarians. Oh, this child is really pitiful. He forcibly changed his direction midway, and he will suffer a lot in the battle system in the future. Kang, on the other hand, looked relieved and environmentally friendly, saying, life is all about being at ease. If he hadn't awakened to the melee physics profession, he would probably regret it for the rest of his life. Upon hearing this, Zhang Wei couldn't help but nod and said, yes, you kid can see through it. He instinctively viewed it from the teacher's perspective and forgot that the child urgently wanted to have combat skills and seek revenge for his father. Kang blinked and said, no, I'm just standing and talking without back pain. Zhang Wei. He couldn't help but ask, what would you do if you were the first to awaken a barbarian? Kang remained calm and said, I will die. He would rather choose true death than social death. Zhang Wei. The first student's face turned red, his ears were flushed, his eyes were flustered and ashamed, he quickly lowered his head and looked at his toes, wishing he could find a crack in the ground to crawl in at this moment. Although his grades are not bad, as he bears the responsibility of good omens and enjoys resource support, his grades are indeed not very good. I can only say it's not embarrassing. On the awakening platform, the night traveler at level 36 gently comforted him a few words, and only then did student number 1 come to his senses and ran down quickly with his head down. The boys in the class, however, brushed together with envy and longing eyes. This is ultimately a combat profession. Yeah, the class bonus for barbarians is strength, physical strength, and resilience. And in terms of endurance, it's second to none. This is a versatile profession, and whether you join the professional system or the military in the future, it will be a coveted opportunity. The barbarians' violent output and resistance to damage are not weak. As long as they don't die, their future life will be stable. Woo-woo, barbarians may not have high grades, but they can run parallel on the bed for an entire night. Whether you are handsome or not is a matter of appearance, and whether you are strong or not is a matter of career bonuses. But the endurance and intensity of running parallel in bed for an entire night is truly tempting. Upon hearing this, Kang suddenly felt that his voice had increased a bit. This profession is surprisingly good. If this level is raised, wouldn't it be possible to learn English with high-quality foreign girls overnight? Zhang Wei turned his head with a black line and couldn't help but curse, what are you talking about? Watch the awakening carefully. A good combat profession, how can you pay attention to these crooked ways? Chapter 3. Awakening to the Cruelty of Career. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Student 1's performance was quite good, and everyone's emotions gradually rose. A good battle career awakening at the beginning, this year's omen is as joyful as in previous years. Only Student 1 couldn't bear it and applied for leave. He quickly left the class team and walked towards the parent audience seat on the edge of the playground with tears in his eyes. He buried his head in his mother's arms, crying bitterly, whether it was joy or sadness. He has better talents and prospects. After changing his main attack direction, he was able to awaken a good level profession, but now he only has one lower middle combat profession, which is still a melee physical attack type. Everyone gradually withdrew their gaze from him and began to focus on the next student. The mainstream combat profession awakens, and the beam of light is often several meters high, then forms a profession symbol in mid-air. The height of the beam of light determines the quality and potential of a profession. Naturally, the higher the better, the brighter the better. The secondary vocational system also relies heavily on talent and accumulation, and sometimes the writing ability is even greater due to the influence of acquired talent, often resulting in a huge gap in the height of the beam. Some people have a higher beam of light than the mainstream system, while others have a brighter beam of light, but the height of the beam is not very high. Life-related professions, on the other hand, are pitiful, with only a glimmer of light emanating from their bodies. Some may even struggle to form a beam of light, with the highest being only 1 meter high. In the end, only the professional symbol can be condensed in front of them. The awakening speed of Class 1 in Grade 3 is very fast, and the overall performance is excellent. 30% of the main professions, 20% of the secondary professions, and 50% of the life-related professions. After seeing this result, the homeroom teacher of a class had a stronger smile on her face, and her pride flew with her eyebrows. Far exceeding the normal proportion of main profession awakenings, he can receive a generous bonus and experience stones afterwards, and even have exclusive equipment customization rewards. Private gratitude from parents is definitely not lacking. After a hard year of hard work, the results were sweet and delicious. The class teacher was so proud that her face turned red and she felt much more relaxed. The awakening process and results of Class 2 in Grade 3 are very brutal. 40% of people in the main profession, 20% in the secondary profession, 20.5% in the life profession, and 1.5% in the population have failed to awaken directly. An extremely high probability of awakening the main profession, as well as a severely high probability of awakening failure. According to normal circumstances, the situation of awakening failure is a very serious problem for 1 or 2 people in a class, let alone half of them directly awakening failure, without even a profession. And there is a very obvious phenomenon in Class 2, where the strong are very strong and the weak are very weak. This phenomenon is definitely related to the education plan of the homeroom teacher. Almost a dozen students in Class 2, after failing to awaken or achieving tragic results, immediately became desperate and painful, crying incessantly. Several girls cried and fainted on the spot, and their breath briefly stopped for several seconds. It was all thanks to timely medical treatment by professionals that they were able to recover. These students who have failed to awaken, as well as those with low career grades, will be almost useless in the second half of their lives, with no future to speak of. Despair paved their way ahead. Zhang Wei's eyes glared angrily as he spoke loudly to the homeroom teacher of Class 2, Animal. More than 10 children have no future. The homeroom teacher of Class 2 had a gloomy face and slightly moved her lips. In the end, she silently closed her mouth and listened to the crying and howling of the class team with a dark gaze. He achieved a group of children, but also destroyed a group of children. But he doesn't regret it. This world is so dangerous, the law of the jungle. Either become a king or defeat the bandits. The moderate has no enough foothold at all and can only live like insects. Kang looked at the dark face of the homeroom teacher in Class 2, his mouth twitching slightly, grateful that he had met the well-behaved homeroom teacher, Lao Zhang. The homeroom teacher of Class 2 is known for being a radical and crazy demon, who likes to walk on the edge of the sword. To enter his class, one must first sign a life and death certificate and a contract. He guarantees the effectiveness of his education, but parents have to hand over all the rights of their children to him, allowing him to fully unleash his educational talents. In his class, either he becomes a talent or he is like this being trained to be useless. Every 3 years, this homeroom teacher is accused, criticized, and even attacked by a group of parents who cry and cry in despair. Similarly, there will also be a group of parents holding banners as gifts, thanking them for their kindness to their children. People's evaluations of him are severely polarized, with some agreeing with this kind of education plan of the jungle and others criticizing this insane and dehumanizing approach. However, the homeroom teacher of Class 2 still stood here, with a gloomy face, listening to the desperate cries of the students. In Class 2, the students who awakened to the mainstream combat profession did not have much excitement on their faces, but instead looked at the mournful classmates with an equally heavy expression. They are very aware of how difficult this path is, and they are even more aware that these students are not unable to awaken their careers, but rather this devilish process that has shattered people's lives. However, they were reborn from the ashes. And these 10 or so people, none. The awakening test of Class 2 has ended, but no one is urging the awakening to continue. Instead, they are looking heavily at the current situation in front of them. At this moment, many students finally understand what they are facing. Only then did I realize that I have truly stepped on the crossroads of life. Only then did I understand that this is truly a single wooden bridge crossed by thousands of soldiers and horses, and falling down is an irreparable abyss. On the podium, Principal Baifeng's face was also very ugly, but he just looked at it, didn't say anything, didn't urge, but let the crying and howling of Class 2 echo on the playground with heart-wrenching pain. Kang looked at him with a heart full of pity and said, "As long as the monster still exists, Class 2 will continue to exist. What is cruel is not the second-class homeroom teacher, but the environment that harms people. The extremely cold reality has given birth to the second-class homeroom teacher, as well as these students who continue to enter the second class. Fierce monsters pose a huge threat to humanity, so there will be people constantly seeking powerful forces to protect themselves." Zhang Wei's eyes were sorrowful as he said, "But we can't even hold on to our children. So what is the point of risking our lives? The world is already so cruel, at least we need to protect the children's world and give them a happy childhood. The war is not yet cruel, and we must sacrifice the future of our children." Kang remained silent, his eyes calm. What's wrong is that there are really monster groups in this world, not the kind-hearted Lao Zhang or the cruel survival teacher of Class 2. The involution and struggle of the weak are not called involution. Cry, survive. The crying and howling gradually subsided, leaving only a continuous stream of sobs softly chirping. The atmosphere on the entire playground became particularly heavy, so heavy that it was breathless. Kang looked at the students who had not yet awakened, their faces pressed with heavy melancholy clouds. Kang remained calm and said, "Lao Zhang, let me go first." Zhang Wei took a deep breath and said, "Go ahead and behave well." Kang is the only top student with full attributes and extremely high growth value. Next, we need to rely on Kang to change this situation. Chapter 4. Super professions that cannot be cultivated. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kang walked onto the awakening platform, and 4 array mages glanced at each other. A level 30 silver energy stone appeared in their hands. The 4 defenders also emerged with silver energy stones in their hands, hoping to use the best state to divert energy turbulence. All of this is to maximize the awakening effect. The night traveler, led by Kang, looked at him meaningfully and said, "Are you Kang?" He had already read Kang's information at the base, and now it is the first time we have met. Kang was a bit surprised, but he felt that it was reasonable. The military is indeed putting in so much effort for their own awakening. Kang nodded and said, "Yes, I am Kang." The night traveler's gaze wandered from his face to his legs, nodding in satisfaction and saying, "Not bad, good seedling." Just by looking at Kang's appearance and physique, one can intuitively feel his formidable physical talent and strength. After the night traveler finished speaking, he stopped talking and said seriously, prepare to awaken. In order to complete this task, the boss specially mobilized these elite teams with the most professional system and knowledge. Prepare an S-level awakening formation, where the mage increases their control authority and enhances their energy diversion effect. The awakening formation on the ground began to transform its form, becoming more complex and cumbersome. Red patterns on the ground began to move like flames, absorbing and condensing the energy around. Kang's heart warmed up, and the military's recent wave really warmed his heart. Anyone can do the icing on the cake, adding the icing on the cake with their own money. This kind of relationship is still very valuable. Kang closed his eyes and began calling out to the power lurking within him, the awakening force that had been wanting to break free from constraints but was suppressed by himself, striving to polish it to the most perfect state. A light golden flame began to burn on his body, and the patterns on the ground made a buzzing sound, trembling slightly. The faces of the 4 mages on the awakening platform began to change dramatically. Crouching slot. Is there an artifact hidden inside this kid's body? This energy resonance efficiency, he can fully awaken his profession on his own. TSK, I admit my attitude was a bit arrogant just now. Is it still possible for me to establish a relationship now? Talk about your mother. Control her. Control her. The 4 formation mages were joking and their movements were not slow at all. Formation patterns appeared out of thin air in front of their nimble hands, then transformed into a water flow and spread onto the ground as an awakening formation, providing additional bonuses for the stability and performance of the formation. Kang closed his eyes, but felt that the spiritual world was particularly bright, and a chant that seemed to come from ancient times sounded in his ears. The opening up of heaven and earth yang is clear for heaven een is turbid for earth. Kang felt a sense of joy in his heart, as it touched Pangu's state of prayer. The power within the body becomes more excited and active upon hearing the chant, and even rapidly expands, becoming incredibly domineering. Kang couldn't help but want to vent his anger. He opened his eyes and quickly looked into the sky, opened his mouth, and a powerful golden beam of light gushed out from his eyes and mouth. Boom! The golden beam of light is incredibly domineering, tearing open the air and emitting a loud roar. Kang's body emitted equally brilliant flames, igniting this pillar of light to rapidly expand and soar into the sky. Roar! The most primitive and barbaric cries rang out from the sky. The crowd looked at the sky in shock. The beam of light rushing straight into the sky condensed into a giant wielding an axe, howling upwards in the high sky. His muscles were full of strength, and the sky became clear and cloudless in an instant. Even everyone can clearly feel that within the range of the beam of light, the earth beneath their feet has become even more majestic and heavy. Between heaven and earth, waves of turbulent energy are rapidly forming. Moreover, the giant phantom is constantly expanding. Boom! After the roar of the giant's phantom, he wielded a giant axe and swung down, as if splitting through all things in the world. There was a mysterious object that was faintly split in half clear and half turbid. Clear ones rise, turbid ones fall. The crowd opened their mouths in shock and couldn't believe what was happening. After the giant struck, it quickly faded and disappeared into the sky. However, at this moment, Kang's career logo has not yet formed. Kang even felt that the power hidden within him was constantly expanding, giving him the illusion of having endless power. Damn it! After the giant's phantom disappeared, another energy shock wave exploded on his body, causing the 8 people on the awakening platform to rush off guard. The crowd approaching the awakening platform was inevitably blown away and rolled to the ground. Unreal shadows flew from Kang one after another, soaring straight into the sky and making various mysterious moves from high up in the sky. A woman's phantom held a willow twig and scattered mud everywhere. There was an old man sitting in the high hall with a smile, and the light and darkness behind him complemented each other, forming a flat circular shape. There were 4 divine swords floating behind the swordsman, staring coldly at the sentient beings. There is one when these terrifying illusions emerge, the heavens and earth follow the changes and cooperate to create various illusions. Someone looked at the woman's phantom and suddenly understood the true meaning of life. Someone looked at the old man's smiling face and was shocked to see that his attack and defense attributes were also improved. Someone looked at the divine sword behind the swordsman, and their understanding of the sword became even more profound. After the 7 virtual shadows, Xuangong still flew out of his body, with a condensed beam of light shining like the sun, soaring to the point where it was difficult to see the finish line even when looking up. Xuangong's eyes turned completely golden yellow, filled with energy that even propped up the blood vessels around his eyes, and a faint golden flame burst out from his shouting mouth. Sleeping slot. What kind of profession is this, boss? My main attributes have been increased by 2 points along with it. Damn it, I actually got a job transfer request. If I gather 4 swords of quality not lower than diamond quality, I can switch to sword cultivation. The boss's profession shouldn't be the king of giants, right? Why is it so terrifying? Tears ran down my face, and the things flowing out of the big shot's fingers were enough for me to eat fat. The illusion persisted for 3 minutes before slowly ending. The celestial beam collapsed and retreated from top to bottom, transforming into a ball of light and crashing towards Xuangong. Boom! The light sphere perfectly integrates into Xuangong's body without any leakage or waste. Everyone who fell into shock also inadvertently missed a point. The beam of light has formed. But career symbols did not emerge. Xuangong felt much more comfortable now, his whole body warm and full of strength. He followed the teaching method and smoothly opened the career panel, looking at the profession with a bright smile. Guangzhou is so awesome, and his career is absolutely. What kind of ghost is this? Xuangong's smile solidified on his face, a bit unbelievable. He closed the profession panel and then opened it again. The 2 large characters inside have not changed. Occupation. SSS level, Divine Envoy, in sealed state. In order to deal with professions that he may awaken to, Xuangong remembers all the top-tier professions that have appeared since ancient times. Among them, in today's era, the most difficult professions to survive, open skill trees, and cultivate. The ultimate profession of the religious system ranks among the top. The Divine Envoy is the one ranked first. Because this is a highly practical technology era, and it is also an era of professionals who despise and look down upon blind superstitions. The most important point is, this world has been proven. There is no God. And the first step for the Divine Envoy is to find a proper deity to receive professional certification. Xuangong awakened the most useless top class of the current era with an incredibly precise and elegant posture. With its smooth and silky ability, it avoids the 99.9% chance of taking off casually and becoming the dominant force. Chapter 5. A World Without Spirits. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The elite captain's night traveler was almost the first to check Xuangong's profession. He couldn't wait to know what epic profession Xuangong, who could cause such a vision, had awakened. The curiosity and excitement on a night traveler's face froze instantly when they saw the name of their profession. Principal Bai Fong almost used the fastest acceleration skill, and in an instant, 3 flying swallows appeared in front of Xuangong, blushing with excitement. Xuangong, do you really bring glory to our school? Bai Fong's excited red face stiffened in place, looking at Xuangong's professional name in disbelief. Divine Envoy. Bai Fong's eyes widened and he exclaimed in surprise. On the quiet playground that everyone was hoping for, the principal's incredulous voice echoed. Xuangong smiled humorously and said, "Principal, it seems that only my injured world has been completed. I believe that everyone's awakening will go much smoother in the future." To be honest, he feels like going home quietly at this moment. The crowd looked at Xuangong in shock and disbelief. An absurd yet strong sense of disconnection lingered on everyone's faces and hearts. How could it be like this? Isn't the top religious profession of God's messenger long abandoned? I just received a permanent 20% strength bonus. Did you tell me Brother Su has been disabled? Are you teasing me? If Brother Su was born 200 years later, he might even encounter a divine powerhouse who can break through the ultimate profession. Yes, according to experts, breaking through the ultimate profession can transform one into a divine-level professional. But this research project will not be implemented for many years. 200 years later, perhaps a divine-level powerhouse will be born, and the Divine Envoy may not be unable to cultivate. But now, in the era when Xuangong was born, there is no village in front and no shop behind. He awakened, but as if he had not awakened. My Su brother is really miserable. If he awakens any other top-tier profession, he will definitely be the strongest in the world in the future. But what he awakened was a divine envoy, a profession that had long been abandoned and could not be practiced. Xuangong is an awakened warrior monk, great mage, monk, Taoist and any other profession within the religious system. He can level up and cultivate by defeating monsters. But what he awakened was a divine envoy profession that required proper divine certification. There are absolutely no gods in this world. This is a truth that has been tested by countless powerful professionals with their fists and weapons. The satellites of human civilization have ascended into space, submarines have penetrated deep into the sea, and probes have flown into the mountains. Under such a comprehensive three-dimensional investigation system, no life that can be called a god has been discovered. Xuangong's mood is okay, but he simply wants to be quiet. There is no disappointment or despair. It's like buying a lottery ticket, if you don't win, then you can't win. He also has a divine blessing system, following the process and constantly brushing his attributes and potential every day, at least he can become an ordinary professional. In the future, it should be no problem to stabilize our daily life. The disappointment and pity on the face of the night tour are particularly strong. He personally participated in this matter and had particularly high expectations for Xuangong. But witnessed firsthand the fall of a super genius. This is even worse than awakening a useless profession. At least there is a profession bonus for waste professions. Where is the divine envoy? There are professions that cannot open the skill tree, and even professions cannot be added. Bai Fong tried to adjust his mindset and showed a peaceful smile, saying, "Child, it's okay. Maybe there will be a turning point in the future. There is no connecting flight. Unless there is an ultimate professional who breaks the shackles and advances to the possible divine level. But the shackles of the ultimate professional are not so easy to break. The ultimate professional is already the occupational limit of current human civilization. The human race has already fully utilized the essence of the current civilization, unless the recently completed human race undergoes another civilization revolution." After a moment of silence, Bai Fong comforted and said, "Actually, you can try to find props to part-time work on life skills. You just can't open the skill tree, it's not that you can't exercise life skills." This sentence expresses the fact that Xuangong has already abolished it very tactfully. Xuangong was so comforted by this conversation that he couldn't bear to cry or laugh. Instead, he felt that his mentality was better than theirs. "Hi, it's okay, there must be a way to get to the front of the mountain by car." Principal Bai Fong's eyes were slightly moist as he looked at the optimistic smile of the young man in front of him. His lips moved slightly, but he still grabbed Xuangong's hand and turned around. Xuangong, SSS-level profession, Divine Envoy. A loud and powerful voice spread throughout the entire playground. Everyone on the playground looked at Xuangong with awe and gratitude. Everyone knows that Xuangong's awakening has been abolished. But as we all know, both myself and everyone present were blessed during Xuangong's awakening. The person who receives the least favor can increase their main attribute and professional quality by 1 level. Some people even have the opportunity to transfer to rare professions. As long as they meet the conditions, they can switch jobs. Some professions that have already switched jobs even gain exclusive occupational skill insights from the Phantom Shadow, gaining stronger skills, or significantly enhancing the skill proficiency level of their main profession. The students in Class 2 who were previously awakened and abandoned are now filled with tears. Because they have once again gained the opportunity to awaken, as long as they start over, they can achieve the natural awakening conditions. And these are the afterglow bestowed upon Xuangong just as he awakened, by the Pillars of Light and the Phantom Shadows. Everyone has received favor and gained something. The person who should have gained the most at this moment seems to have lost everything, including his future. Xuangong smiled and waved his hand to everyone before walking down the awakening platform. He looked at the steps below and let out a faint sigh that was not visible. It's really a stroke of fate. Although I have a system of praying for blessings from gods, I have become the farthest person from the true God. Xuangong left the playground, his smile gradually fading away, and he felt quite regretful in his heart. Did you just miss out on super professions like this? What a pity. Fortunately, I have a divine blessing system and can still continue to develop. Having been a person of 2 generations and a calm mind, Xuangong began silently planning his future. Ding dong, new features of the divine blessing system are being activated, detected that Xuangong has been transferred to the position of Divine Envoy, starting to release the task of verifying the authenticity of the gods, today's true God. Pangu Junction Certification Task. Chop the axe 1000 times, task reward. Mythical level, the system actually has new features enabled. And the new feature of this system actually allows me to communicate with the righteous gods of the ancient world. Xuangong stared blankly, followed by ecstasy. At this moment, Xuangong tried to lower his head, suppressing the joy in his heart, and his face twitched slightly. Not only has my system opened up new features that allow me to communicate with the righteous gods of the ancient world, but the first one I can communicate with is the Pangu Great God. It's just that I need to complete a small task of verifying my authenticity. Chop the axe 1000 times. It's too simple. This task can be completed easily by oneself. That is to say, one can quickly obtain the communication god Pangu, and the awakened god will break free from the fate of a useless profession. With the certification of the righteous god from the great god Pangu, isn't my career as a divine envoy a peak start? Not to mention that mission rewards are mythical. What is the concept of mythological level? Things that can create and destroy the world of human civilization will be classified as mythological. On this planet, there are only 5 countries each with a mythological level prop. Chapter 6. Mythical Level Reward, 9 Transformations of Xuangong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mythical level props are important props that can influence the power of a strong country. It's a town level prop. It's needless to say how impressive an item with such a rating is. Xuangong quickly left school and took a taxi home. My home is very deserted, with no one around. Dad is currently working at the military base, while Mom is supervising in a restaurant. My parents are very busy and rarely go home. Xuangong opened the miscellaneous room, rummaged through boxes and cabinets, and found the axe. It's not difficult to make 1,000 cuts, especially for him who has full attributes. Xuangong took a deep breath and began to chop, one after another. After about 40 minutes, the next split was completed. Congratulations host, you have completed the Zhengshan authentication task. Pangu's authentication, and obtained the 9 transformations Xuangong *1. Upon hearing this, Xuangong quickly opened the list of professions and the corners of his mouth began to rise. Jiuzhuan Xuangong, SSS, Level 1, Divine Dragon Transformation, SSS Level 1. Born with wind and rain, thunder and lightning, light, darkness, nature, life, sea, earth, growth attributes, and immune to half of the attacks and negative states related to attributes. King of Pangu, dragon head and snake body, boasting for wind and rain, blowing for thunder and lightning, opening eyes for day, closing eyes for night. After death, the joints are mountains and forests, the body is rivers and seas, blood is dew, and hair is grass and trees, 9 changes per day, SSS Level 1. Growth form, combat form, divine transformation form, and demonization form, growth form. In this state, it will continuously absorb energy and transform it into an attribute. It can absorb the vast majority of activated energy and increase its recovery ability by 1000%. Combat form. Double all attributes, combat ability increases over time, divine transformation form. Transformed into the ultimate state of physical attack, with a 200% increase in physical attack ability, demonized form. Transformed into the ultimate state of spell attack, with a 200% increase in spell attack ability, destruction rage splitting, SSS Level 1 level destruction type. Ignoring 50% of the opponent's dual defense, causing a fatal blow in the destruction type that cannot heal and cannot be healed, Pangu wields a divine axe and angrily shouts to split towards the surroundings, the heavens and earth open, the clear one rises, the turbid one falls, Pangu stands in the middle of the heavens and earth, and the heavens and earth cannot overlap. Pangu's blessing effect increased to 10 times. Pangu blessing effect list. Permanent strength plus 100, permanent luck plus 100, permanent defense plus 100. Kang looked at his career list and opened his mouth wide. Sleeping slot. Is this a mythological level passive technique? Divine Dragon Transformation, capable of regulating a type of attribute attack at any time, and immune to related negative states and half of attribute attacks. If this were changed to fire attribute and the level was raised again, wouldn't it be possible to take a bath directly in the magma? You should know that what people are most afraid of is facing monsters with attributes and abilities, which can easily create a negative state for you. Not only does it make you feel uncomfortable, but it can also have sequelae that require a lot of time to rest and recuperate. And oneself, directly immune to negative attribute states, still has half of the attribute attack reduction ability. Directly carry the attribute attack and start bombing away. Kang began to look at the 4 forms provided by Jubian every day, and his eyes widened. This is too awesome. Growth morphology that can absorb a large amount of attribute energy. Sleeping in a trough, isn't it really possible to bathe in magma? Recovery ability increased tenfold. Even if I reach the level of blood, can I quickly recover to my peak state? The combat form is too fierce, it doubles all attributes directly, and the more you fight, the braver you become. Isn't this to say that I am the least afraid of prolonged warfare, chariot wheel battles, and group fights? The longer you play, the higher your attributes will be. Divine and demonized forms are both extreme states, which can provide oneself with more diverse and targeted combat strategies. Even if you can challenge yourself beyond the level, first use combat form to increase attributes, and then switch to a certain extreme state, you can directly flash the experience points and equipment of advanced monsters. Kangxi's eyes were filled with joy as he turned to the last skill, his breathing becoming rapid. Destructive attribute attack, ignoring dual defense, unable to heal super attack. Sleeping slot, this thing. How does it resemble the ultimate profession revealed to oneself by the military? Kang's mind was filled with the revelation of the mysterious mysteries of human beings and gods. If you choose the military side, you will have a chance to obtain the ultimate profession in the end. This is the only profession in the world that has the potential to evolve into a destructive class. Very good, they are the endpoint of career evolution, and the ultimate profession has the potential to become a destructive profession. I am different, I have it at the beginning. Moreover, even if the ultimate profession of these people is destruction, they have already run wild on this path for countless levels. Kang's eyes are particularly bright. The blessing of Pangu Jingshan, as well as the lottery, is really awesome. He looked at his attribute panel and couldn't stop smiling. Name. Kang, occupation. SSS Divine Messenger, Level 1, Attributes. 220 points of strength, 220 points of agility, 220 points of stamina, 220 points of defense, 220 points of speed, and 220 points of intelligence. Hidden attribute. Lucky 101 points. The Barbarian Awakening profession only has a maximum of 20 power attributes, while the other professions have the highest main attribute boost, which is only 30 points. My own attributes are about 10 times higher than theirs. This represents one's strong ability to engage in 1.1 combat. The kind of one person fighting against a group. Moreover, the world still doesn't know how to improve its luck value, and it started with 101 points. Lucky value, a hidden attribute that affects equipment explosion rate and quality. Xuangong did not have a clear understanding of what 101 points are. However, there is still no rumor that a professional can have a lucky value of over 50 points. A week later is the big exam, the moment to determine one's own destiny. Xuangong closed the panel, his eyes flashing with excitement. A SSS level profession that can cultivate, let alone oneself, this is definitely the strongest start in SSS level professions. By taking the big exam and achieving the strongest results, one can obtain the best resources. Next True Spirit Mission. Level 5, players are advised to continue their efforts, positive God range. Today's god or random god. Xuangong blinked and his breathing became slightly rapid. Damn it. What kind of thing, can you obtain the true god mission again at level 5? Xuangong's heart was beating fast, so he opened his phone map and started taking a taxi. Can't we hurry up and get promoted? Starting from obtaining the divine blessing system. His range of prayer objects. It has always been the god of the wilderness. Next time we don't have high demands, just give us a Hongjun and Sanqing. Chapter 7. Simple and unadorned combat effectiveness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xuangong casually left a message on his parents' account, then left a note on the table and hurriedly left. In the western forest of Jiangcheng, demonic and undead creatures frequently appear here, and there are even a large number of cave dungeons and a small number of secret realm dungeons. The bearded driver drove Xuangong to the vicinity of the wilderness, and Xuangong couldn't wait to get off the car. This is a place for newcomers to practice and low-level professionals to brush experience points and raw materials. Western Forest Monster List. Sinking demons, infernal demons, undead skeletons, demonized creatures, zombies, mask hunters, etc. Roughly ranging from 1 to 20 levels. Near the Western Forest, there are many people walking out, and even a small market has formed near the forest wilderness. Some professionals or ordinary people will temporarily sell supplies or low-grade raw materials here. Xuangong ignored these and headed straight towards the Western Forest. Due to its proximity to a crowded market and the absence of monsters near the entrance of the Western Forest, Xuangong accelerated his pace and ran forward 5 kilometers again. Lakanixiu. A short and piercing scream sounded. Xuangong's face lit up with joy, and he looked towards the screams. He saw 8 sunken demons gathering not far away, holding weapons to threaten him. One sunken wizard, with a gloomy expression, raised his flame scepter. A team of fallen demons with wizards. Sinken Demon, a demon clan with weak strength, possesses the same reproductive ability as rabbits, extremely strong mutation ability, and a complete demon profession inheritance within. The most amazing thing is that within this demon race, which is so weak that combat professionals can easily grasp, there are wizards who can resurrect their fellow race. With the existence of a sunken wizard, the morale of the sunken demon will not collapse. As long as new professionals fail to kill the sunken wizard in a timely manner, it is easy to end up in a will battle. Facing the constantly resurrected sunken wizard. The sinking witch immediately stood back, and the sinking witches had timely protected their own wizards behind them. Xuangong did not retreat but instead advanced, taking one step at a time. The soil on the ground splattered, and his entire figure quickly moved forward. The sunken demons saw an empty-handed human rushing forward and screamed with excitement, raising their weapons to slay the arrogant human. The characteristic of the sinking demon is to bully the soft and fear the hard. When the number of people on our side exceeds the number of people in the local area, these low IQ demons will flock forward. Xuangong collided with the sinking demons, and he punched the head of the leading sinking demon. Bang! A massive power value of 220 points, like smashing a watermelon, smashing the head of the sunken demon with just one punch. Almost at the same time, the fallen demon's wooden stick hit him, and Xuangong's body remained motionless. A defense value of 220 points, these low-level demons do not even have the qualification to break through defense. Experience value +5. Xuangong heard the system prompt sound, raised the corner of his mouth, clenched his fists with both hands, and fiercely smashed them one by one. Bang bang bang. Lightning-like fists rained down like raindrops, and in just a few breaths, 8 fallen demons couldn't even escape before he smashed their heads. The sunken wizard looked at Xuangong in great fear, trembling as he held up his flame scepter, which continuously emitted flames, but its strong fear quickly dissipated. Xuangong grabbed a fallen demon corpse on the ground and threw it fiercely. Bang! Dong! The sunken wizard was thrown into a tree by a tremendous force, making a crisp sound of fractures. Blood sprayed out from the broken part of his body, staining the trunk and tender green lawn red. Experience points +20. Ding dong, a gold coin jumped out of the body of the sunken wizard and fell to the ground. Xuangong stepped over the body of the fallen demon, stepped on the bloody water, picked up the gold coins to play with, and put them in his space backpack. Level 1 professionals have a 1 cubic backpack that can hold a lot of things. A team only has 8% experience points, it seems I need to speed up. Xuangong shook off the blood on his hand and ran towards the depths of the forest again, searching for the traces of the monsters. Half a day later, in the middle of the western forest. The most dangerous thing here is that mutated monsters or boss monsters occasionally pop up. If the combat professional team below level 20 is not handled well, it is easy to suffer heavy losses. So, usually only professional teams above level 20 will go deep here. Xuangong flexibly dodged the chopping of the 12th level golden mutation monster Undead Hunter, and took advantage of the close distance between the two sides to use his backhand to destroy and fiercely attack. The cold white bone fire in the head of the undead hunter ignited fear, and the sense of life and death erupted, forcing him to give up his bone knife and lift his arms to block it. Click, click, click. Destruction Rage, the ultimate damage of the Destruction series. Along the way, it shattered the bone arm of the undead hunter completely, and with a single blow, it opened up its mind and saw the light of the sky. Congratulations, you have obtained the gold bone blade *1, congratulations, upgraded to level 5, ding dong, the Jingshan mission has begun. Jingshan. Master of Tongtian sect Jingshan task. Kill 5,000 monsters, task reward. Mythical level, Xuangong's face lit up and he said, Master Tongtian. Enough. Master Tongtian, this is a saint with the most treasures and disciples, who teaches without discrimination. The 4 swords of Zhu Xian are invincible in attack and attack, unparalleled in the world. Even a saint would not want to easily become an enemy with him, and he would be even more cowardly under him. Moreover, the quality of the treasures of the Tongtian sect leader is also very excellent. Anyone you take out is top-notch. If I could win any of the treasures of the Tongtian sect leader, this wave would be a big profit. It's a bit difficult to deal with 5,000 monsters. Xuangong rubbed his blood-soaked hands on the tree, then took out his phone and began searching for the most monster dungeons. As the phone screen swipes, the most common dungeon of the Western Forest monsters appears. The City of Conspiracy. Plot Demon City. Once, a group of leader monsters gathered here and conspired to conquer Jiangqing. But the conspiracy was exposed, and a monster betrayed them. This place was also brutally washed away by the angry Jiangqing military, and the monsters retreated to the forest, never daring to attack Jiangqing again. Now, this place is also guarded by cruel and loyal monsters, which are opened once a week. If not cleared in time, the monsters inside will run out and enter the main world. Suggestion: teams of elite professionals above level 20 are recommended for entry, and it is not recommended to have teams or individual players take the course. Hot reviews. A large quantity leads to a full supply, killing until the hands are soft. Like count. 23W Xuangong took a look and found that there were many entrances to the conspiracy demon city. As long as he walked around the bloody land of the Jiangqing military in the past, he could find the entrance. As for not recommending single-person ordering, he ignored it directly. Growth form regenerates health and mana, combat form attributes double over time and become stronger. Divine transformation demonizes and flexibly switches to counter enemy weaknesses, destroying anger and breaking defense. Now he has a total attribute of 260 points, far exceeding that of an ordinary combat professional at level 20. With the doubling of combat form attributes, he is directly in a crushing advantage. After finding the suitable copy, Xuangong looked at the direction and quickly ran towards the entrance of the conspiracy demon city, holding a level 5 green battle sword. Chapter 8. Mutated Dungeons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At a certain southwest entrance of the conspiracy demon city, nearly 40 professionals were looking at the constantly fluctuating strange light with ugly faces. The entrance to the dungeon here is a purple light gate, but at this moment, the color of this purple light gate is constantly changing, sometimes deepening and sometimes fading, and even occasionally twisted into other colors. I have informed the academic department and they are currently studying this situation. It is expected that there will be some irreversible environmental degradation internally. What should we do now? Other dungeons have mutated, and monsters won't run out. At most, the energy inside can stack up, increasing the monster's strength. But this dungeon is different. If this thing can't be cleared for a certain period of time, it will run out. Yeah, especially these guys are about 5 levels higher than their peers. After coming out, the leveling environment in the western forest will at least drop by a lot. Everyone is worried and gathered here without a good solution. This dungeon was originally difficult to deal with, and currently, this mutation is highly likely to enhance the strength of the monsters. The original level and class configuration need to be upgraded by at least 1 level. The team present admitted that they did not have the strength, let alone the configuration. The news of the mutation has just been passed on to the military. All we can do now is wait for the military team to come and suppress it. They can only block this entrance first according to emergency regulations to prevent the spread of monster disasters. Everyone, Lu, have the courage to borrow some medicine and equipment from everyone, hoping to lead the team into the dungeon world and save some people. Lu Fatsai stood on a stone, clasping his fists and shouting loudly to the surroundings. Old Lu, now you're in danger of dying. Who are you saving? Lu Fatsai gave a bitter smile and said helplessly, well, just after the big exam, Princess Zhang just led a team in 2 hours ago. Master Zhang has shown kindness to my old Lu, and now is the time for me to repay him. Additionally, the situation in the demon city is seriously changing, and I want to quickly gather the intelligence inside. Princess Zhang of the Zhang family, a high school bully, awakened to an S.level profession today and eagerly took her own family to escort her to the next level. Everyone, look at me, look at you. No one is willing to share this muddy water. Saving Princess Zhang from the Zhang family is precious, so you also have to have life to enjoy it. This is a team dungeon mutation, where more than 100 combat professionals need to be gathered to clean up on weekdays. The little princess of the Zhang family is going in, it's just a matter of beating the dog with meat buns. There will be no return. Lu Fatsai was sincere and clenched his fists again, saying, Lu is grateful to the Zhang family leader, so let's take a few brothers into this tiger's mouth first to see if it's sharp. He turned around and led his own team into the dungeon gate, his figure disappearing into the strange purple light. This old Lu is confused. He can get in now, but not necessarily get out. When old Lu was young and went to the battlefield, he was saved by the Zhang family leader, but he was also a kind-hearted person. What kind of temperament is more expensive than life? If you go into it now, you'll have to face death. Even a level 30 combat professional may not be able to come out alive. Hey, yes, let's keep blocking the door. If we can't block it anymore, we'll have to run away in groups. Kang looked at the constantly changing purple gate in front of him and was taken aback for a moment. When did the entrance of the dungeon become like a colorful light stick? He put his hand up and applied for approval. Dangerous dungeon world ahead, persist in access/deny access. Kang's mind twitched, he withdrew his hand, took out his phone, opened the professional's internal forum, switched to the Jianghu interface to search for keywords, and indeed saw the latest news. Conspiring for the Devil City mutation, suspected monster level has increased, and 3 professional teams have gone missing. Currently, summoning professionals from the Western Forest to participate in the suppression activity at the entrance, there have been. Kang put down his phone and looked around, but there was no one around. Great, it seems that everyone has silently forgotten about the small entrance here. After Kangshan uploaded the coordinates here, he directly chose to persist in accessing them. Danger is what's interesting, opportunities come from not being dangerous. The stronger the monster, the more experience it has, the stronger the mutation, the higher the dropout rate. Others worry about not being able to fight. Kang only worries about not finding a suitable monster. You should know that the fastest way for an ordinary person to reach level 20 is to go to college and join forces, which will take 4.6 years. I am clearly not suitable for taking ordinary paths. The world in front of Kang changed for a moment, and he arrived in a dilapidated city. The teleportation location in the world of large replicas is relatively random, and users are usually teleported to external or central regions. He stood on a cement road, with abandoned high-rise buildings and shops on both sides, and some old and rusty vehicles on the road. It is rumored that this was once an ancient human capital, occupied by suddenly appearing monsters, and since then it has become an abandoned city. Once, humans and monsters fought a tug-of-war around this abandoned city for several years, but ultimately gave up because the city was heavily polluted by monsters. When this city becomes famous again, it will be when the leaders of the Western Forest, monsters, become arrogant and want to attack Jiangcheng. Kang walked on the dilapidated cement road, with the air filled with dry and hot waves full of natural atmosphere. He looked at the dilapidated city with mixed emotions in his heart, as if he could feel the roar of the ancestors charging and the roar of the monsters in the wind. Kang couldn't help but want to shout and imitate the heroic deeds of his predecessors. Charge! Charge towards the monster! Intense cries echoed in the city. Lakanixiu! Ow! Jia jia jia! Satan Satan Satan! Dense monster cries rang out from around, and one by one monsters rushed out of the shadows, waving weapons and looking towards the cement road. In less than a moment, the streets on both sides were densely packed with monsters of no less than 200 or 300. Cold white bone fires shuttled through the tall buildings, and one by one the dead rushed to the window, looking at Kang standing on the road. Kangmu stared blankly at the monsters around him. This quantity seems a bit beyond imagination. The hot comment is full of content, it seems not an exaggeration, but a statement. This is indeed a team dungeon, and both team and individual dungeons are prone to death. Kang instantly switches between battle modes, doubling all attributes to 520 points, and draws a level 5 green battle sword. The monsters saw that it was a solitary person appearing, and their eyes showed a fierce light. They roared and rushed forward with a fierce momentum. Kang is fearless, and as he becomes stronger in the Vietnam War, the most fearless thing is chariot wheel warfare. Destroy the fury. A chin gray knife light slashed towards the monster group like waves, causing a few monsters to die on the spot. More monsters that were grazed were also severely injured, with wounds unable to heal and bleeding profusely. After cutting this knife, the weapon in Kang's hand began to show some cracks, and information about the monsters appeared in front of his eyes. Giant Power Little Devil, Evolution of Sinking Demon, Variant, Level 20 Poisonous Undead Crazy Bone, Undead Skull Evolutionary Form, Variant, Level 22, Burning, Infernal Demon, Minor Infernal Demon Evolutionary Form, Variant, Level 23, Sleeping Slot. Are your variants and evolutions free of charge? Why is it all over the street? Chapter 9. The Adversarial Monster World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kang activated the Divine Dragon transformation almost instantly, adding thunder attributes to himself for group battles, while also resisting the attacks of surrounding monsters. Dong! Bang! 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 Knife splitting, sword stabbing, flames, venomous. The fierce attack instantly overwhelmed him. Kang bared his teeth, only then did he feel the warmth of the battle. At present, my attributes are twice that of level 20 monsters, so there is no need to worry about being killed in a flash. However, because the streets are filled with mutated monsters, it's a bit difficult for me to fight. Kang's clothes were completely blown apart, revealing a perfect body forged from refined steel. No way, it's too gruesome to be beaten like this. Take the time to increase your attributes and then deal with these bastards. Kang's eyes twitched as he prepared to pull the monster train and then improve his attributes through his combat form. It would be the most wonderful thing to have a direct counterattack at that time. He jumped over the monster group in front of him that had been severely injured by himself, and ran wildly towards the front. Behind him, angry monsters rushed after him, roaring in anger, and the deafening roar shook the entire city like a tsunami. Xuangong was holding a staff and standing on the rooftop of the building, sweating profusely, holding a magic crystal to replenish her mana. 8 loyal guards were divided into 2 teams, sweating profusely at the staircase, taking turns attacking the rushing monsters. They are on the rooftop of a 6-story building, and due to the large number of monsters, they are forced to move here to defend. Empty. The silver-level battle knife struck the evil demon and finally killed this scarred guy. After the monster mutates, its health bar thickens by more than twice, making it difficult for combat professionals of the same level to kill alone. They must cooperate with their teammates to do so. At this moment, a deafening roar echoed from the distant street, accompanied by a slight tremor, moving from far to near. The monsters in the hallway roared a few times, then suddenly retreated and quickly disappeared into the hallway. Xuangong's pale fingers slightly released the magic crystal, and her face was also pale. Did they run away? The archer wiped the sweat off his forehead, his face still tense. He looked towards the place where the noise was rising in the distance and saw some scenes through the cracks in the street. It seems to be related to the roar of monsters in the distance. The monster chasing us ran away. Xuangong breathed a brief sigh of relief and relaxed a little. It's okay, it's good to leave for now. Please adjust your state. The dungeon world has undergone severe changes, and military personnel will soon come to rescue you. The archer suddenly widened his eyes and said, the situation is not right, there is a figure in front of the monster tide. Upon hearing this, everyone was greatly surprised and quickly approached the edge of the rooftop to look ahead of the monster tide. I saw the monster tide constantly gathering a large number of monsters, but at the forefront of the monster tide, there was a figure running rapidly. Xuangong covered her mouth in surprise and said, "Oh my goodness." The painted black monster wave was biting fiercely behind the young man, who was racing against the Grim Reaper. In a moment of desperation, Xuangong waved her hand and shouted, "This way. Come here." The archer now wishes to block the young lady's mouth. Please don't cause trouble and get into trouble, okay? Do you see that dark monster tide that we can resist? The faces of the other guards were also slightly unsightly, but they dared not say anything more. To be honest, if the young lady had just stopped shouting, they would have wanted to take advantage of the gap between the young man's attention and take their own young lady to find the exit of the dungeon world. Xuangong was running rapidly, feeling the pleasure of his strength slowly rising, and preparing to gather a big wave of counterattacks. He heard shouts in the distance and unexpectedly lifted his head to see a beautiful girl wearing a white mage robe waving her hands on the rooftop. After taking a glance, Xuangong withdrew his gaze and his liking for this girl increased by almost 10% in his heart. This girl is quite kind-hearted. If ordinary people didn't get scared and crawl down when they saw my situation, it would be considered good. Xuangong glanced and saw that his attributes had already surpassed 800 levels. He quickly opened the skill list and invested all the obtained skill points into the Divine Dragon Transformation and Destruction Rage Splitting. Destruction Rage, SSS level 3 level Destruction type. Ignoring 50% of the opponent's dual defense plus 120% strength attack plus 1000 damage points, dealing a fatal blow of destruction type, unable to heal, and unable to heal, Divine Dragon Transformation, SSS level 3. Born with wind and rain, lightning, light, darkness, nature, life, sea, earth, growth attributes, and immune to half of related attributes and negative states. Attribute level +2, Destructive Fury Strike has increased damage by 1000 points and increased strength attacks by 120%, making it more brutal and aggressive. The improvement of the Divine Dragon is very simple and domineering, with attribute level +2, which is a qualitative change. Xuangong activates the Thunderbolt attribute of the Divine Dragon Transformation, adding a Thunderbolt state to himself. Pai Li Pa, Pai Li Pa. A deep blue thunder began to emerge from his body, entwining his perfect steel body, occasionally leaving a scorched black on the surrounding ground. Thunder attribute, level 3. Acceleration, group attack, paralysis. The Thunder attribute at level 3 can spread the attack effect to groups, making it a very suitable attribute ability for group combat. Accelerating the state can improve the user's speed and also increase the killing power to a certain extent. And the paralyzing effect of Thunder has a certain degree of compulsion, unless there is enough lightning resistance, you cannot be immune to this paralyzing effect. Xuangong's speed instantly increased by half, leaving behind thunderous shadows and the air crackling with electricity. Xuangong accelerated fiercely, with a strong sense of war in his eyes. The sword in his right hand began to wrap around blue thunder and grey knife aura. On the 6th floor, Zhang Yaomei saw that the young man was completely ignoring her. She tightly grasped her wand and anxiously said, "Why hasn't he come over? The monster will catch up with him sooner or later." The archer estimated the direction in which the young man was running wildly and spoke out without conscience, "Miss, since he doesn't want to come over and has attracted the attention of the monsters, why don't we?" He pointed to the side street, his face slightly ashamed. Zhang Yaomei angrily cursed, "Sacrificing others for my safety is not our ancestral motto of the Zhang family. Su Hai, I command you to help that young man." The archer sighed and arched, ready to shoot an explosive arrow. He looked at the young man and was surprised, this child is not equipped. What? Upon hearing this, everyone looked closely and only then did they realize that the charging young man was wearing his upper body bare, and the only visible equipment on his body was a bronze battle knife in his grip. Sleeping trough. He's wearing regular running shoes. What kind of madman is this? It looks like he's only 18 years old. Upon hearing this, the skilled archer's heart tightened and he quickly ordered, "Prepare to stand down." This should be a child who was accidentally caught up in it. The others switched their ranged weapons one after another, and the two warriors switched their defense forms to prepare to engage. Zhang Yaomei, who had been staring at the boy all along, widened her eyes and said, "Thunder." He's ready to release advanced thunder skills. Her ability to perceive elements far exceeds that of others present. The crowd's movements paused, and they quickly stopped. Upon closer inspection, they saw thunder emerging from the figures several hundred meters away. This child wants to release advanced thunder skills, so be patient. If the failed skill backfires, this child will have to lie flat on the spot. Boom boom. Suddenly, a thunderbolt struck out of nowhere, hitting the young man. Sleeping trough, he can actually trigger lightning. How did he do it? Isn't that at least a mage at level 40 or above can do it? Could it be some rare equipment? Then you also need that body bone to bear it. Zhang Yaomei exclaimed in surprise, lightning-induced acceleration, this is an advanced lightning attribute. Accelerate. Amazing. Hold on to the formation, this child can still be saved. The archer was pleasantly surprised and saw that the child was about to accelerate with a single body. It was easy to say, as the explosive arrow pressed against the bowstring again. Sleeping trough, he turned back. At this moment, the boy is only 200 meters away from them. They could clearly see the young man turning around with thunder, and in an instant, a gray wave interspersed with the thunder splitting out, rushing towards the wave of painted black monsters. Chapter 10. Super Profession. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The eyes of the fastest strengthening demon, who chased the most fiercely, were red. Its anger couldn't contain it, and its brain was jumping. The iron rod in its hand wished to immediately pierce the head of the human in front of it. Along the way, this human chased after him, constantly provoking him and turning around to beat them. Occasionally turning around and throwing a gas bomb, corroding the water gun, weakening life, and so on. It is not that hurtful but extremely embarrassing. It doesn't matter if we can personally eradicate this human, mainly to see him die. The divine speed demon saw thunder exploding from the humans ahead, and his anger grew even stronger. His body was ready to dodge again. A series of thunderbolts struck the young man ahead, causing a sudden change in the expression of the swift demon. No matter how foolish it is, it knows what the other person is doing. Lakanixiu. This human is ready to unleash powerful skills. The divine speed demon never forgets to remind his fellow race that he honestly uses his divine speed skill to sprint to the side in an attempt to avoid the upcoming attack. Thunder skill, notorious for its brutality and one hit at a time. The divine speed demon had just rushed out 8 meters when he saw the young man's speed skyrocketing and running even faster. The monsters in the back row, feeling the acceleration ahead, became even more excited and eager. They did not clearly see the thunder on the young man's body and were even more joyful, enjoying the pleasure of chasing prey. And the monsters in the front row have already started to panic, roaring and shouting, desperately ordering the subsequent monsters to stop. This doesn't seem like running away, it's like accumulating energy. And the surging tide of monsters cannot stop at once, especially when the charging rhythm is brought faster. The monsters with higher attributes and levels in the front row looked at the young boy's energy storage skill in despair, then turned around and swung back. In the face of the cold and desperate reality, they struggled desperately to unleash their respective skills, attempting to resist this clearly unbearable fatal blow. The knife wave is 3 meters high and 8 meters wide from the knife. When facing a storm, it rises like a tsunami, reaching over 10 meters in an instant, as thick as a city wall. The gray knife wave arrived as scheduled, and in an instant, it was overwhelming like a tsunami, carrying thunder down the sky. The monsters in the front row welcomed the crushing attack with their lives. Puzzy. The knife wave directly wiped out the upper body of the monsters in the front row, leaving no room for further damage and continuing to devour the monsters behind. The divine speed demon lay on the ground, feeling death passing by him. His back felt cold, and his muscles stiffened like wood. Death choked his throat and soul, making him unable to move. It looked at the boy standing more than 10 meters away in fear, with a hint of thunder wrapping around his perfect body and jumping happily. Xuangong closed his eyes and felt the warm sunshine of noon, listening to the sweet sound of system upgrades. His level skyrocketed to level 8 in one breath. My own wave directly saved ordinary professionals 2 to 3 years of effort. The dense sound of prompts gradually subsided. Xuangong opened his eyes and a strong aura of blood rushed towards his face, rushing to his feet and soaking his worn running shoes. Tisk, A surviving demon. You react quickly. Xuangong stepped lightly, the ground instantly exploded, and his running shoes turned into flying debris. A shadow covers the speed demon. It trembled and lifted its head, looking at the boy in front of it. If it could start over, it would definitely not participate in the pursuit. The young man showed an interested smile, his fingers dotted in mid-air, and opened its data panel. Amazing speed, I see. Next, the young man slowly lifted his foot and stepped on it fiercely. Layers of air waves were pushed away by the soles of his feet, pressing down with great force. The speed demon closed its eyes in despair. After a loud bang and excruciating pain, the world was completely plunged into darkness. Xuangong exhaled a breath, feeling particularly comfortable, and the feeling of increased strength was particularly intoxicating. Gold coins jingled and danced on the ground, rolling and reflecting their luster in the sunlight. Various medicines and equipment lay quietly on the street, shimmering with various lights. In the distance, the black monster wave was retreating in fear, crawling backwards on all fours, afraid that he would catch up again. Some monsters, whose limbs were destroyed by destructive energy, fell to the ground and howled, blood and life constantly flowing out of their bodies. Xuangong threw away the war knife with only the handle in his hand, took out the level 8 silver 9-ring sword from his space backpack, hummed a tune, and stepped on the bloody water towards the howling monsters. On the rooftop of the 6th floor in the distance, Zhang Yaomei was stunned and said, "Is he 18 years old? You told me this is 18 years old. Can you have this strength at the age of 18? The archer began to doubt his gaze and said, "Is this 24 years old? How did this happen? Isn't it some kind of disposable consumable?" Zhang Yaomei's face ached as she said, "Disposable consumables. A disposable weapon of this specification starts at 800,000 yuan. The archer remained silent for a moment, with a faint gaze. "Miss, have you seen me? The opportunity for us to leave may lie with this young man." He deliberately bit the word opportunity very hard. Zhang Yaomei looked at the eyes of the loyal archer, her mouth twitched slightly, and pointed to her nose, "Do you want me to betray my beauty?" The archer raised his head and silently looked up at the sky, without saying a word. Two warrior brothers coughed dry at the same time, covering their mouths. "Miss, it's good to have a good relationship. Let's leave here first." Zhang Yaomei was angrily laughed at by them and said, "Miss Zhang from the Grand Zhang family, why do you have to do this to survive?" "Miss," he pushed back the monster group with one blow. Zhang Yaomei stared and said, "I am still an S.-level temple priestess. Is there a possibility that he is a more advanced hidden profession?" The archer saw Xuangong moving and quickly said, "Miss, he seems to be leaving." Zhang Yaomei quickly coughed and said, "Making friends with a strong person is a rare opportunity. Let's hurry down." She quickly released herself into a state of rapid movement and didn't forget to add it to the guards present. She pushed him away and the others, carrying their skirts and running briskly, her farts bouncing particularly happily. The guards quickly followed and protected her side. Xuangong hummed a tune, with each child chopping happily, while the monsters around struggled to crawl with their remaining limbs. Unfortunately, those who can run have already run. These things lying on the ground now cannot run. Da-da-da. A dense and agile sound of footsteps quickly approached. Xuangong stopped his knife and turned his head to see the girl upstairs running towards him happily. Xuangong weighed the knife and continued to maintain his combat form, maintaining an extremely high attribute value. The heart of harming others cannot be absent, and the heart of preventing others cannot be absent. This little girl is quite kind, not necessarily others. Zhang Yaomei stopped 7 meters away, blushing slightly as she tidied up her collar. Her divine staff was inserted into her waist, and her hands were placed on her abdomen. She leaned slightly and said, "Hello. You, Xuangong." Xuangong was surprised and said, "Do you know me?" Zhang Yaomei covered her mouth in disbelief and said, "Aren't you awakened and disabled?" Xuangong. The news of my awakening and abandonment has spread throughout the city so quickly. Zhang Yaomei's face turned red and she quickly waved her hand, saying, No, I didn't mean that. You are the first genius in Jiangcheng, and everyone pays close attention to you. I only found out about you a few hours ago. She quickly added, "We met before during the martial arts exam in Jiangcheng. You were the first, and I was the eighth." It is normal for Zhang Yaomei to know that Xuangong has no impression of her. Xuangong not only has exceptional talent, but his biological father is also a senior member of the military. He has this confidence and qualifications that he doesn't remember. Xuangong nodded clearly, he had no impression of this girl. He easily gets first place in any major exam, not to mention 8th place, he doesn't even remember 2nd place. Zhang Yaomei's heart pounded, her face rosy, and her eyes bright. Now, only she knows in the whole city that Xuangong has not been defeated, but has awakened his super skills. This is a great time to build a good relationship. So, do you need any help? My guards are all combat professionals above level 25. Upon hearing this, Xuangong felt very happy and said, "Team up and help me kill monsters. I still have to kill over 4,000 monsters. My efficiency in killing alone is too low. Team up to kill monsters, you don't have to pull the train yourself, just grab people's heads and it's over." Zhang Yaomei's face stiffened and she said, "Ah. But now the dungeon mutation is very serious, and the number and strength of monsters have been greatly enhanced." Xuangong was surprised and said, "Is there any problem with this? If there weren't many monsters, I wouldn't have come here yet." Zhang Yaomei watched him stand in a pool of blood with a natural expression on her face, forcefully swallowing the words she was about to say and squeezing out a smile. "No problem." The divine arrow covered his face and turned his head away, unable to bear to look straight at him. "Miss, you really talk too much about business." In just a few words, the entire team was joined.